Gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, baby. Listen, I think by far this is going to be one of the best videos that you guys ever watched for me, man. And the reason being is what we're talking about in this video is pretty much the difference, bro, between what I've noticed really allows for someone to separate themselves from everybody else. Literally the ways of thinking that I use. And this is why whenever I say like I'm gonna do something and I'm going to fucking win, I win every single time. Now, it's not that I, am smarter than anyone or anything along those lines. Well, realistically, I fucking am. But it's more so, and this is what we're gonna get into, is just the way I go about things, the way I think about life, and the way I think about my goals and my progression, and prioritize them in my day to day, in my week to week, my month to month, my year to year. And I really think if you can start looking at, your business, your fitness, your trading, whatever it is that you're working on, bro, that you're really trying to progress in, if you can start to adapt this way of thinking, you will realize that this is that missing key. This is that missing like puzzle piece, bro, to why you aren't like fucking moving as aggressive, as intentional, as all of these things as much as you want to have been, because you're lacking in this one thing. Okay, and so what is it? Like, what is it? So let's get into it, man. First, of course, grab your sugar-free bev, limited edition. I think this is a winter edition. Anyway, this shit is fire. And let's knock it down, man. So, guys, all it comes down to is your prioritization, just the way you prioritize things and the significance in pretty much the way you are going to evaluate your life and the levels of which you are going to put your goals at, or whatever it is that you have. So you got to think about it like this, right? Okay, say you're a dude. If you're a single dude, even better. If you're a dude that has a girlfriend, or if you're, all I'm getting at is like if you have a family, or you're kind of a single guy or whatever, who do you think out of those two people is kind of gonna have like lesser things on his plate? Probably like the single guy, right? And so the reason I say this is because the single guy, he won't really have to like have crazy levels of like prioritization and like organization and significance of like what's most important to him, what's least important to him, because he has less on his plate. Okay, now take like the family guy. Obviously he has a family, he has kids, things along those lines, that like significance, like what he has to prioritize, all this stuff, right? But it's the same thing across the board, because what I'm going to tell you here is the difference, bro, between the apex predators, man, the guys that are really fucking like go-getters, the guys that have that instinct, that killer instinct, man, the guys that smell blood and they turn into a different person, is they just prioritize, their shit at the top, bro, at the top of their list. And so the way you're gonna do this, man, is you have to ask yourself, like, as I was saying earlier, like if it's your fitness, if it's your trading, your business, what do you want to keep at the top of this list on what is most important to you, bro? Like, that's as simple as it gets. And so for me, whenever I did this in my life, this is now what happens, is everything I do is now based around this number one thing on this list. And then obviously you can go down the list. So if you have a girlfriend or a family or things along those lines, or you're learning a new language, or you want to learn how to ski, whatever the fuck, right? Like, I'm just talking about this list. And so the way I go about this, right, is number one, I try to keep this list of things that are priorities in my life, that are significant to me, whatever, things that I'm trying to do. I try to keep this list as simple as possible and as small as possible, because then now I can like there's only so much divided attention that I can have. There's only so much energy that I can divide things that I want to do into. And so this is why usually when I want to do something, I want to do one thing and one thing only, and I want to do that one thing very, very, very fucking well. And so that's what I do, bro. And so on this list, as I keep saying, many times in my journey, I'm going to give you guys the example of my trading and my fitness. Okay, so when I very first started trading, this now became the number one thing, and that was it. I didn't have anything else going on. Nothing else was really on this list, bro, of like my priorities of significance. Really nothing else was. At the time for me in my life, when I try to analyze this list of what I was doing in life, what I had going on, it was during like lockdown, during COVID. You know, I was about a couple semesters into college, or maybe like 2 semesters and maybe even 1 semester in, maybe even going to my 3rd where I dropped out. And so the only things I really had going on at the time where I was working, I was going to school, and then I was just trading. Like that was kind of it. Everything else wasn't really much you could do. You know, I was hanging out with the boys, but even then it was kind of limited because of lockdown, all these things. And so there wasn't really anything else on my list. I was kind of just cruising by life, I like to say. Wasn't trying to learn a new language, wasn't trying to do all this crazy stuff, was playing video games. And so now, when I really got into trading, for example, right, this became like, boom, number one thing. The more I started to get engraved, the more this started to really move up on that list, for example. And now, everything I do, everything I base my life around is going to have to do with this one thing, and that was getting good at trading. And so what I did, and this is what I'm talking about, the main like mashed potatoes steak of this video, is everything. I'm talking about everything in my life was now revolved around this one thing, the number one thing on this list. Okay, so I don't care if that's, you know, me going to school, me working, anything that has to do with like my life, this is top of the morning. And this is, I think, the difference, bro. This is literally what I think is the difference between everybody else and why people aren't going to achieve their goals, why they don't see the progression, why they stop, is because the way most people go about their goals, bro, is whenever they say they want to do something, they'll kind of just try to make their, they'll try to like put it into their life, and it'll revolve around their life. Like they'll see where they can, you know, maybe put it in. They'll kind of see if it fits with this. They'll put a little bit of attention into it. But that's the first fucking problem. Okay, that's exactly why most people stay losers and don't end up fucking achieving anything and get lost in history, man. Is because, listen, the way I go about something is now if I have something on this fucking list, my whole life now revolves around that one thing. I'm not trying to put it into my life. No. My life now revolves around this thing. Okay, and so I don't care what it is, everything I do, we need to make work around this, right? And that's exactly why, bro, when I got into business, when I got into entrepreneurship, like really advanced, into the gym, I don't care if it was work, bro, I don't care if it was school, everything I now did had to go around this. That's why I dropped out of school. I literally dropped out of college so I could just pursue this. I didn't give a fuck about school because that was no longer the priority. Right? And now take the gym, for example, right? This is a little bit of a better example for you guys. When I would make sure, like I started a 90-day blitz a couple years ago, right? Where pretty much had to like stick to certain rules every single day for 90 days. So gym session, eat clean, journal, kind of read books, things along those lines. You guys can click the link in the description of this video and go check out like my highlighted stories on Instagram. You'll see I documented pretty much every single day for the first 90 days of me changing my life. And Now, this became a huge priority in my life, okay, was my fitness. Why? Because I remember I read a book and it said, listen, if you can master and cultivate discipline in one area of your life, it will likely transfer over into others. And so at the time, again, I was trading. Everything I had to do outside of work, outside of school, and then dropping out of school was literally every single day just spent on the charts. And then when I read that quote, I was like, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cultivate and I'm going to engage discipline in my life, and hopefully then it will be able to transfer over into my trading, into business, entrepreneurship, whatever, right? I was just trying to cultivate more discipline into my life. And so then exactly that happened, bro. I got heavily into the gym. I started to change my psychology, my mind, my body, and everything now that I had to do was revolved around these things. Okay, it wasn't like, all right, I'm gonna try to fit this into my life, into going out on the weekends. I'm not gonna try to put this into here and, just put some attention. It was like, no, bro. The priority is, put it this way, if I had a gym session every day from like 4 to 6 or from 6 to 8, I don't give a fuck what's going on. Everything else revolves around this. No exceptions. No fucking exceptions. My life will revolve, like that time block in my day from 6 to 8 or from 4 to 6, I don't remember what it was back then. Whenever I got off work, that time strictly dedicated to work. Like, think of that time is pretty much gone. Like that time is pretty much like that time block in my day. I can't go do anything else. Like, I can't, those 2 hours from my day have basically disappeared. Like, I'm at the fucking gym no matter what. I can't go and pick somebody up. I can't go and whatever the fuck or whatever, do some bullshit, go eat, whatever. No. That time block in my day literally doesn't exist. It's dedicated and locked in my calendar, for example, to going to the gym. Everything else can revolve around that. I have to make plans around that fucking thing. The priority, the significance, right? And that's then how I started to go about all these things, bro, is I just prioritize these things every single fucking day, right? And then with trading, for example, London, dude, like when I think about myself back then, dude, I was fucking crazy, bro. Like literally, when it came to the charts in specific and like business and growing my Instagram, my TikTok, like it's just like, you don't give a fuck. You don't give a single fuck about anything else, bro. Anything else. These things, and then you get to that point where I was saying where, I had like that time block blocked off, didn't exist anymore. And then same thing, I started to do this with, I did this before, but like then, for example, now think of trading, right? I would be on the charts all day. And so it's like my whole day just didn't exist to anything else, bro, to anything else, because from the second I woke up to the second I went to sleep, I was just focused on fucking improving, on fucking the gym, on the charts. London session, would wake up then again for New York session at 6:30, so I'm going to bed at 4, waking up again at like 5:30 for New York session at 6. And just on the chart, right? And what I'm getting at with this and what you're missing is you can see here how everything I had to do was based around these things, and then things came second, and then everything else came second. Okay, same with the food that I was eating, the diet, the focus was there first, and then secondary was all the fucking bullshit, maybe hanging out with friends. Girl, I don't even want to say girls, bro. Girls left my mind for like the first fucking 3 years of my journey, bro. I wasn't even thinking about girls. Like, this is what I'm saying, because every single one of my days and my energy and my resources was literally just dedicated to fucking winning, to making my shit work, right? Anything after that came secondary. And so if you're not seeing the progress right now, bro, if you're not seeing the level up, if you're not seeing whatever it is that you're trying to do, bro, you need to ask yourself these questions of like, where am I putting this shit on the list of like significance and importance? And am I trying to put this into my life and like have this revolve around my life, or am I gonna put this as the sun, and everything fucking else is gonna orbit around this fucking one thing, right? Like, I think that's literally the only fucking difference, man, in the fucking killers, the instinct guys, the guys that are going to fucking win, and the guys that are gonna fucking lose, bro. It's just the importance of what you're putting your shit to. And this is why I say, like, as a single guy, you know, back then, and, you know, not really having any other priorities, not really having to think about anything else, these things on my list were like at the top, like just improving trading, fitness, business. Like, that's it. Like, there was nothing else, bro. I don't have kids, don't have a girl. Like, I don't gotta balance anything else. Like, I just isolated myself. It was complete fucking isolation. It was beautiful, absolutely fucking beautiful. Essentially locking myself in the basement and no fucking outsiders, man. It was absolutely fucking beautiful. Didn't talk to anybody. But obviously, you know, I understand as I've gotten older, you know, as life gets busier, you know, depending on how old you are watching this video, you know, maybe you have a girl, maybe you have, you know, other things in your life, a family. I don't know how old you are or whatever. But you maybe got school, maybe, you know, work, all these things that you are doing. See, for me, it was a little different because I had jobs back then, but then there were times where I didn't have jobs because I saved up like $3,000, then would quit. So I had a couple months to just go all into my business. All these things, right? And so depending on where you're at, this is why I say you got to think about that list, bro. You have to think about that list and think to yourself, because we're all different person to person. What are you going to make the priority on this fucking list, bro? What are you going to make the priority on this list? And then once you do that, will you then now be able to see? So if your shit's not working, if your shit's not working, ask yourself, like, okay, is there no exceptions to what I'm doing on a daily basis? Like, if you're trying to post, if you're trying to trade, if you're trying to build your business, right? Is there a block in your day where you're like, I don't give a fuck what is going on, you know? Like, even take it this far as, like, if you're a dad or whatever, you get home from work, you know, the first 2 hours, the first 4 hours of you getting home, or before you even go to work, you're not talking to nobody. You're not talking to your kids, you're not talking to your wife. Obviously, maybe that's a little extreme, maybe it's not, I don't know, depending on who you are, how bad do you want it. But, like, those are the kind of levels that I think about. And when I think about doing things, it's like, okay, if I'm really gonna lock in and I'm really gonna fucking dedicate myself to this, right, then nothing else basically exists to me except for this one thing. It's literally just like trying to channel your energy, bro, and channel your time and all these things to like this one thing, like literally to this one thing. And that's why I also said at the beginning of this video, I try to minimize, bro, the amount of things that are going on this list. And this is why, like, I'm not out here trying to learn 5 languages at a you know, one time. I'm not out here trying to build 5 businesses at the same time. I've tried that, and all this bullshit is very, very, very fucking hard, if not really stupid to do, number one, but damn near impossible. And I'll tell you exactly why. And this is something I hear a big misconception. I'll probably make another video on this. But you know how they say your average like millionaire has like 7 income streams, right? But the thing is, a majority of the time, there's one of those income streams from the 7 makes up a majority of the income. And it's because he did one thing very, very well, and then he, you know, kind of dabbled out, whatever. But even then, if he went to just doing one thing and doing it very fucking well, he'd probably make 10 times more money than he is right now with all the other fucking small things. But that's a little bit of a different conversation. But that's what I'm getting at, is you just have to prioritize and be like, all right, man, and if this is what I'm gonna do, this is what I'm gonna fucking do. Nothing else, dude. It's literally just like a mindset shift. That's it, you know. And I say, talking about the orbit, and we're just gonna keep this one thing as the center of the universe, the sun, and all the planets essentially, or all your interests are revolving around this. It's literally just a mindset shift, bro. And that mindset shift, all it is doing is from taking one of your interests in this thing, from orbiting on the outside to making it the center of attention. And it all just starts in here, bro, because I'm sure you guys are exactly like me if you're watching this video, man. Things truly aren't that hard. I'm not going to say they're easy, but when you do this, like for me, when I commit myself to something, it's game over. It's literally game over. Nobody can fucking stop me at all, because like it all just comes from me saying, you know what, this is what I'm going to fucking do. This, like, essentially just making that decision to myself that, you know what, this is what we're fucking doing, and that's it. It's like, that's all it ever has been for me, bro. is just telling myself and really coming to an agreement with myself, like, you know what, bro, this is what we're gonna do. And that's it. And I don't think a lot of you guys have really asked yourself, you know, is this what I'm going to do? I don't think a lot of you guys have asked yourself, is this, like, what am I willing to sacrifice for this? You know, how all in am I willing to go for this one thing? And that should be like, you know, your business or your fitness or you in general, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And that's why you're not seeing the progression, bro. Because right now what you're probably doing is everything else in your life is you know, the priorities aren't straight. Maybe girls, whatever the fuck. Like, your thing is just on the circumference, man. Your thing is just on the outside, kind of revolving around your life. You know, maybe you have like 4 things you're trying to fucking make work. 4 things that you're partially interested in. Maybe you're posting, you know, but it's not like the forefront of what you're doing. It's not the forefront. You haven't made that conscious decision yet of like, you know what, I'm gonna fucking go all in. Like, when I was doing coaching and mentoring, I would talk to a couple of my clients and they would tell me, like, you know, they're trying to make this thing work with like their social media and their brand building, but then in the long term they can kind of see themselves opening up like some kind of brick and mortar location of something. Or, you know, they would tell me like their life story, or maybe they're focusing on this other thing in their life that they really want to do long term. I'm like really asking them, like, why the fuck are you doing this right now then? Like, why the fuck are you doing this right now? Like, literally ask yourself that. Why are you then doing something right now if you don't eat, like, this isn't even the long-term fucking goal? Like, those truly, like, with this level of thinking, it goes long-term as well. Like, you have to ask yourself, like, what the fuck are you doing then if this is not the long-term goal, right? A mentor asked me, and I'll make a separate video on this as well, is sitting on one of my calls with my mentor, and he really asked me something. He's like, Brandon, what I think you need to ask yourself is, what do you want to build for the next 3 to 5 years? And so many of you guys are caught up in the short term and this and that. It's like, dude, you say you want to do this one thing, but it's not even in line with the long term. Like, why are you even doing it in the fucking first place? Like, truly ask yourself that question. Like, why are you even doing this shit in the long term? In like, I don't know, a couple of years down the line? Like, why are you wasting your own time? What you should be doing is going all into the thing that you see the vision with, the long-term vision and the short-term vision. These two visions should be in line, right? Your short-term, yes, there's a big difference between short-term goals and long-term goals, but the thing is, for the most part, these goals are in line. These things are similar. The short-term kind of make up the long-term in some way, shape, or form, and they are related. And this is what I'm saying again. It's just like, I don't know, man. It's a different kind of mentality. It's a different kind of commitment as to what you're gonna do. Like, when I think of my vision and the things that I'm doing and things along these lines, it's crystal fucking clear, a lot of it. Up to like, this is what I'm gonna do. The you know, this kind of how much money I already know I'm gonna make, if not more. And that kind of thing. Like, it's really clear. And a lot of you guys have to ask yourself that question, because if you don't ask yourself that question, then how do you even know you want to make this thing the priority of everything? Like, you don't. You fucking don't. And that's why you haven't. So you literally just have to, like, commit yourself to it. Think about it. It's a big problem I see, like a fucking big problem. Nobody ever just sits there and writes down on a piece of paper, or sits there, stares at the wall, and actually thinks about what they want. Actually thinks about how they're going to go do something. Actually thinks about, you know, the money they want to make, and then how they're going to make it. Like, all these things, or getting into the gym. You never sit there and actually think to yourself, like, write it down. Bro, if you look at my notebooks from before, even now, like, everything is written, because I take the time to consciously sit there. I have intent with what I'm doing. I write it fucking down. It becomes even more set in stone. And because I'm writing it down, because I'm putting it out there, it's gonna fucking happen. It's gonna fucking happen. And most of the things that I write down in my notebook have already fucking happened. I literally have in my notebook, like, something that I wrote like 4 years ago. I was like, move into my dream 2-bedroom apartment at set location. And then I moved into that dream location, and I lived there for like the last 6 months. Or not last 6 months, a little before that, but I lived there. Literally everything that I wrote down happened. And it's because it all starts with the intent, bro. And you writing it down, you are committing all these things. It all just starts in here. Are you gonna fucking commit or not? Simple as that.